Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about something wild. How a bunch of Romans, just 40,000 of them, managed to take over a place with 2 million people living there. Yeah, 2 million. Oh, and if you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe. Super curious where you're all listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is there. Always blows my mind how people are falling asleep to this all over the world. All right, find that cozy spot, take a nice slow breath, and just let your body sink into whatever you're lying on. We're heading back to ancient Britain, and trust me, you're going to be real grateful for that mattress by the time we're done. So, congratulations. You just woke up in Britain, the year is 43 AD. The first thing you notice is how damn cold it is. Your breath makes little clouds in the dim morning light. The roundhouse is dark, except for the faint orange glow from the banked fire in the centre. Your back is stiff from sleeping on the woven reed mat laid over the packed earth floor. The scratchy wool blanket does little against the chill that seeps through the walls. You can hear the soft breathing of others still asleep around the edges of the single room. The smell hits you next. Wood smoke, mainly. It hangs in the air, caught under the high conical thatch roof. But there's also the earthy smell of the clay and wattle walls, the slightly sour scent of bodies, the lingering aroma of last night's stew, and something animal, maybe the goats tethered just outside. You sit up, wincing as your joints protest. The floor is cold beneath your bare feet, damp too. Recent rain has seeped under the walls in places. Someone stirs on the other side of the fire pit, an old woman with lines etched deep in her face. She's already adding small sticks to the embers, coaxing them back to life. The soft crackling is joined by the gentle hiss as she adds a handful of dried herbs. The sharp, clean smell of rosemary cuts through the heavy air. "Bad dreams again?" she asks without looking up. "The Romans?" And just like that, the knot returns to your stomach. The Romans. The rumours have been spreading through the village for weeks now. A massive invasion force gathering across the water in Gaul. Ships, soldiers, war machines. They're coming, you say. Not a question. She nods, face grim in the growing firelight. They've tried before. That's Caesar, nearly 100 summers ago. But he left. He did. She pokes at the fire, sending sparks upward into the darkness. This one's different. This Emperor Claudius. He needs a victory. Needs it bad. The fire catches properly now, casting long shadows across the roundhouse. Outside, you can hear the village beginning to wake. The scrape of a door. The call of a child. The bleating of sheep. What's it like, you ask? Being conquered. She gives you a hard look. Your father would rather die than find out. Your father. The knot in your stomach tightens. He left 3 days ago with the other warriors, south to join with the tribal king's forces, to prepare. You help the old woman prepare the morning meal, simple porridge made from barley, cooked slowly in the iron pot, hung over the fire. The familiar routine is comforting. Grind the grain, add water from the clay jug, stir with the wooden spoon worn smooth from years of use. The others in the roundhouse wake as the smell of food fills the space. Your younger brothers, your mother with the baby. They move around in practiced patterns, avoiding bumping into each other in the cramped quarters. "Will they come here?" your youngest brother asks. His voice small. He's picking at his porridge, making little mountains and valleys. "Hush," your mother says quickly, but you can see the fear in her eyes too. After eating, you step outside into the cool morning air. The village is a cluster of roundhouses, some larger than others, arranged in a rough circle. Smoke rises from most of them now, thin grey fingers reaching for the cloudy sky. Beyond the houses are the fields. The barley and wheat are nearly ready for harvest, golden against the green hills beyond. Sheep graze on the slopes, white dots against the grass. It all looks so peaceful, so normal, but nothing is normal now. A shout from the edge of the village catches your attention. People are gathering, pointing to the south. Your heart jumps as you run to join them. It's not Romans, it's a messenger, one of your own people, a young man on a lathered pony. His face is drawn with exhaustion, streaked with sweat despite the cool morning. They've landed, he gasps as the village elders help him from his mount. 4 legions at Rutupii. The Cantiaci tried to stop them on the beaches, but he shakes his head. A murmur runs through the crowd. Rutupii, the natural harbour on the eastern shore. It's far from here, but not far enough. How many? Someone asks. Thousands, the messenger says, with more coming, and machines, war machines. He takes a deep drink from the water skin offered to him. The king has called for all warriors, every tribe. We must unite or fall. Unite. You almost laugh. The tribes have been fighting each other for generations. Old hatreds, blood feuds, competing claims to land and cattle. Can they really come together now? Your people are the Atrebates. To the east are the Cantiaci, who have already failed to stop the Romans. To the north, the powerful Catuvelauni and their fierce king Caraticus. Then the Trinovantes, the Iceni, the Dobunni, and others. Some have already decided to side with Rome, believing resistance is futile. And my husband, a woman calls out, the men who left with him. The messenger's eyes drop. They join with the main force at the great river crossing, the Medway. You've never seen it, but you've heard stories. A wide, deep river, a natural barrier. If the Romans can be stopped anywhere, it would be there. The village breaks into anxious chatter. The elders move to the meeting house to hear more from the messenger. The rest return to their tasks with grim faces and whispered fears. You find yourself walking to the edge of the village, to the old oak that marks the boundary. From here, you can see the ancient track that leads south, the one your father took. The sky above is heavy with clouds, threatening rain. What are the Romans like? You've heard stories, of course. Everyone has. They build great roads that cut straight across the land, ignoring hills and valleys. Their soldiers march in perfect formation, like a single beast with thousands of legs. They have gods with strange names. They bring new foods, new customs, new laws, but they also bring chains for slaves, taxes, punishment for those who resist. Will they come here, to this small village? Will they burn the roundhouses, take the grain, slaughter the livestock? Will they take you and your family away to serve in their distant empire? Or will your father and the others stop them? Can they? The sound of hoofbeats pulls you from your thoughts. More riders, 3 of them, pushing their mounts hard up the track. As they get closer, you recognize one as your father's friend. Your heart sinks. They barely slow as they enter the village, shouting for attention. People pour from the roundhouses. You run back, pushing through the crowd. The Romans have crossed the Medway, the lead rider announces, his voice carrying over the gasps and cries. They used river warriors, swimmers who attacked our chariots from behind while their main force crossed upstream. How? Someone demands. How could they cross such a river? The rider shakes his head in disbelief. They built a bridge in a day, as if by magic. Magic. That's how it feels when he describes what happened next. The Roman formation, advancing like an unstoppable machine. Shields locked together, short swords flashing, javelins raining down with terrible accuracy. And our men? Your mother asks, suddenly beside you. Our warriors? The rider's eyes find hers, then drop. Many fell. The tribes are scattered. Some flee north. Some have surrendered. And my husband. Her voice is steady, but her hand grips your shoulder with bruising force. I do not know, he admits. There was chaos. I was sent to warn the villages. To tell you all to prepare. Prepare for what? An old man calls out. To fight or to submit? The rider has no answer. That night, sleep won't come. You lie on your mat, listening to the soft weeping of your mother in the darkness. Outside, the men of the village stand guard, though what good it will do against Roman legions, no one knows. The old woman sits by the fire, grinding herbs in her wooden mortar. The rhythmic scraping is somehow soothing. The bitter green smell mixes with the wood smoke. "What will happen to us?" you ask her softly, so the others won't hear. She doesn't pause in her work. "Change," she says simply. "The world changes. It always has." "Will they kill us all?" Now she does look up. No, that's not their way. They don't want dead Britons. They want living ones, to work, to pay tribute, to become little Romans themselves in time. "I don't want to be a Roman." "No one does," she sighs, "until they are." You fall into an uneasy sleep eventually, dreams filled with marching feet and clashing metal. Days pass, more messengers, more bad news. The Romans advance steadily northward. Some tribes fight, others surrender. The great king Caratacus has retreated, gathering forces for another stand. Your father has not returned. Then, just as the barley harvest begins, the riders come again. But these aren't messengers or warriors. These are refugees. Families from villages to the south, fleeing with what little they could carry. The Romans are coming, they tell you. Not just soldiers, surveyors, tax collectors. They're measuring the land, marking boundaries, writing down names. That night, the village council meets. The debate rages long after dark. Fight? Flee? Submit? There are no good choices. In the morning, the decision is announced. The village will send representatives to the nearest Roman camp with gifts, with promises of cooperation. It is the only way to survive. You watch them leave, 3 elders carrying the best the village has to offer. Grain, honey, a finely woven cloak. You wonder if it will be enough. 2 days later, they return. With them is a Roman officer and a small escort of soldiers. You've never seen anything like them. Their armour gleams even under the cloudy sky. Red cloaks, tall, straight spears, faces unlike any you've seen before, some dark as oak, others pale with hair the colour of straw. They speak a language that sounds like stones rattling in a jar. The officer, through an interpreter, addresses the gathered villagers. His voice is calm, matter of fact. There will be a census. Taxes will be assessed. A portion of all crops must be given to supply the legions. Young men may be recruited for auxiliary units. In return, the village will have protection, access to Roman markets, perhaps in time, Roman improvements, roads, buildings, baths. No one mentions what happens if you refuse. That night, as you lie once more on your simple mat, the roundhouse seems smaller somehow, the fire lower, the future uncertain. The old woman sits beside you, her gnarled hand finding yours in the shadows. "Sleep," she says. "The world will still be here tomorrow, different perhaps, but here." You shift slightly, finding that comfortable hollow in your mat that your body has worn over time. Your muscles relax as you stare up at the thatched roof, at the faint stars visible through the smoke hole. Your breathing slows naturally as you watch the last embers of the fire pulse orange and red. Getting comfortable now, that's it, as you think about what tomorrow might bring to this ancient land where the Romans settle in for the night in their marching camp. Not like your simple roundhouse village with its scattered dwellings. No, the Romans make a fortress every night, even when travelling. You learn this from Lucius, the interpreter who arrived with the officer. He's not fully Roman. His mother was a Gaul from across the water, his father a trader from Rome. He speaks your language with a strange accent, but clearly enough. 4 legions, he tells you as you help him water his horse the next morning. 20,000 legionaries and almost as many auxiliaries, warriors from other lands the Romans have conquered. And they all build these camps, you ask? Lucius nods. Every night, 3 hours of work, no matter how tired from marching. A ditch, a rampart, gates at the 4 directions, streets laid out in perfect lines. There's pride in his voice. No army in the world is like the Roman army. The Roman officer, Decimus, has taken over the meeting house. Maps are spread on the floor. The village elders point out local features: the river ford, the old hill fort, the sacred grove. Decimus makes notes on wax tablets with a metal stylus. His movements are quick, precise. Later, you watch from a distance as the Romans practice their drills in the village clearing. It's like a strange dance. Shields up, swords out, forward, back, thrust. They move as one, calling out responses to their leader's commands. They train every day, Lucius tells you. Rain or shine, summer or winter. Is that why they win, you ask? He considers this. Partly. But there's more. The Romans. He searches for the words. They don't just fight. They build roads, bridges, aqueducts, towns. They make places Roman. You try to imagine your village with straight streets and stone buildings. You can't. A week passes. Then another. More Romans arrive. Not soldiers this time, but officials. They count everything: the people, the livestock, the measures of grain, the acres of fields. Everything has value. Everything can be taxed. Your mother watches them with wary eyes. Still no word of your father. You catch her sometimes, staring south along the track, waiting. One evening, as autumn paints the trees with fire, a single rider approaches, not a Roman, one of your own people. His horse is stumbling with exhaustion. Your mother runs to meet him before he even dismounts. The village gathers, watching their urgent conversation. You can't hear the words, but you can read her face, the way her hand goes to her mouth, the way her shoulders suddenly sag. Your father isn't coming home. That night, the old woman helps prepare your father's body for the journey to the other world, though his body lies somewhere far away on a foreign battlefield. She burns sacred herbs in the fire, their sharp scent filling the roundhouse. Your mother cuts a lock of her hair and casts it into the flames. Your brothers cry. You don't, can't. How did he die? You ask later, when the others are asleep. Or fighting, the old woman says simply. At the great river they call the Thamesis, the Thames. The king Caraticus made a stand there, tried to stop the Romans from crossing. She shakes her head. They built another bridge, more magic. And Caraticus? Is he dead too? No, fled west, they say, to the mountains. He'll gather more warriors. Try again. But her tone tells you what she really thinks. It's already over. The next day, Decimus announces that the village must provide 10 young men to serve as labourers. They'll help build the new Roman road that will connect the coast to the inland settlements, the road that will make it easier for more Romans to come. You're chosen, not asked, chosen. You leave 2 days later with the other selected youths, some from your village, others from neighbouring settlements. Your mother doesn't cry when you say goodbye. She has no tears left. She simply presses something into your hand, your father's knife, its bone handle worn smooth from years of use. Return, is all she says. The work camp is 3 days' march away. You sleep under the open sky, guarded by auxiliary soldiers, not Romans but Germanic tribesmen with long braided hair and strange blue symbols tattooed on their arms. They're not unkind, but they make it clear that running away would be unwise. The camp itself is a shock. Hundreds of workers, Britons like you, but also Gauls and others from across the empire. The noise is constant, the smells overwhelming. Sweat, dung, smoke, cook fires, unwashed bodies. The work is harder than anything you've known. Clearing trees, digging drainage ditches, breaking stones, carrying timbers. from dawn to dusk, with only brief breaks for watery porridge and hard bread. At night, you collapse onto a thin straw pallet in a crowded tent. Your hands are raw, your back screams, your shoulders burn. Sleep comes instantly, dreamless and deep. Days blur into one another. The road grows slowly, stretching like a pale scar across the green landscape. So straight. Unnaturally straight. The Romans don't go around hills or valleys. They cut through them or build over them. Why must it be so straight, you ask Gallus, the Roman engineer who oversees your section. He's older than the soldiers, with intelligent eyes and a grey-streaked beard. Because that is the Roman way, he replies, as if it explains everything. Then, seeing your confusion, he elaborates. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Time is valuable. Distance is valuable. We do not waste either. You learn more from Gallus over the weeks about Rome itself, a city of 1 million souls with buildings taller than the oldest oak trees, about the empire that stretches across 3 continents, about the Emperor Claudius, who ordered this invasion to prove himself to the Roman people. He came himself, you know, Gallus tells you one evening, as you help him check the day's measurements, crossed the water with war elephants. Can you imagine? Great beasts from Africa, tall as 3 men with noses like serpents. You can't imagine. It sounds like a tale meant to frighten children. It's true, Gallus insists. I saw them myself at Camulodunum. The tribes surrendered as soon as the elephants appeared, thought they were monsters or gods. Camulodunum, the ancient capital of the Trinovantes tribe, now the centre of Roman power in Britain. You've heard the Romans are building a great temple there, dedicated to their emperor, as if he were a god. Winter comes, but the work doesn't stop. The rain turns to sleet. The ground freezes. Still you dig. Still you break stones. Still the road extends. You learn other things too. How to speak basic Latin, how to use Roman tools, how to read Roman numerals, knowledge that might keep you alive in this new world. By spring, you've changed. Your body is harder, stronger, your mind sharper. You understand more about these invaders now, their strengths, and maybe their weaknesses. When the section of road is complete, Gallus selects you and 3 others to accompany him to Camulodunum. He needs assistance for his next project, a bridge across a tributary of the Great Thames. The journey takes 6 days along the new road. It's strange to walk so easily on the surface you helped create. No mud, no holes, just mile after mile of packed gravel over layered stone. You pass through lands that are already changing, Roman farms appearing beside British roundhouses, Roman goods being traded in village markets, Roman soldiers marrying British women. It happens everywhere, Gallus explains when you comment on this. First we conquer, then we settle, then we marry. In a generation, the children don't remember it was ever different. Camulodunum itself steals your breath. It's not Rome, Gallus says, not even close, but to your eyes, it's a wonder. Streets in perfect grids, buildings of stone and timber, shops selling goods from across the empire, soldiers, officials, merchants, all moving with purpose, and rising above it all the foundation of the great temple to Claudius. Hundreds of workers swarm over it like ants on a hill. The scale is impossible, inhuman. You're given quarters in a barracks with other British workers. The space is cramped but dry and warm. The food is plentiful. Bread, porridge, fish, sometimes meat. You have 1 day in 7 to rest. It's during one of these rest days that you see him. You're at the market, spending the few coins you've earned on a honey cake, when a procession passes through the forum. Roman officials in their white togas with purple stripes, guards with polished armour and tall spears. And in their midst, walking proudly despite his chains, a British warrior. Not just any warrior, even without his war paint and finery, you recognize him from descriptions. Caratacus, the king who fought at the Medway and the Thames, the last great hope of a free Britain captured at last. The crowd jeers, throws things. You stand silent, the honey cake forgotten in your hand. His eyes meet yours for the briefest moment as he passes. There's no defeat in them, no surrender, just a cold, hard patience. That night, you can't sleep. You pace the small courtyard behind the barracks. The spring air is cool but not cold. Stars wheel overhead, the same stars that shine on Rome and Jerusalem and Alexandria. The world suddenly feels very large and Britain very small within it. You saw him today. The voice startles you. It's Enica, a British woman who works in the kitchens, older than you, with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. The king. You nod. They'll send him to Rome, she says, leaning against the wall beside you. Parade him through the streets. Show the Romans their latest conquest. And then kill him. She shrugs. Maybe. Maybe not. The Romans can be unpredictable. You've learned that much yourself. There are still those who resist, she says, her voice dropping lower. In the west, the mountains. The emperor returned to Rome months ago. The legions are spread thin. You glance at her quickly. Is this talk treason? Is she testing you? I'm just a road builder, you say carefully. Her laugh is brief, bitter. We're all just something, until we're not. She pushes off from the wall. Sleep well, road builder. In the morning, she's gone. No one knows where, or they won't say. Spring turns to summer. The bridge progresses. Gallus teaches you more. Mathematics, engineering principles, how to draw plans on parchment. You have a knack for it, he says. You could have a future in the Roman world if you embrace it. Sometimes, in the quiet hours before sleep, you take out your father's knife, run your thumb along the blade, remember the village, your mother, your brothers, the old woman with her herbs and wisdom. Are they surviving in this new world? Are they still there at all? Word comes that Caratacus has been sent to Rome in chains, but other news follows. Strange news. The Emperor Claudius, impressed by the British king's dignity and courage, has pardoned him, given him a house, a pension. Caratacus will live out his days as a Roman gentleman. See, Gallus says when he tells you this, this is the true power of Rome. Not just to conquer bodies, but to win minds. Summer wanes. The bridge is nearly complete. A graceful arch of stone that will stand for centuries, Gallus boasts. Your part in it is small but real. There's pride in that, despite everything. Then comes the message. A trader from your homeland region recognizing you at the market. Your village is gone. Abandoned. The people relocated to a new Roman settlement being built in the valley. Better farmland, the Romans said, easier to administer, easier to tax. Your family went with the others. They're alive, the trader thinks, but he can't be sure. So many people, so much movement. That night you stand on the new bridge, your bridge, watching the dark water flow beneath. The current tugs and pulls, constant, patient. Like Rome itself. You could leave, try to find your family, return to the old ways if they still exist somewhere in the shrinking corners of free Britain. Or you could stay, become what Gallus believes you can be, a man of two worlds. Not fully Roman perhaps, but no longer fully British either. Something new. The water offers no answers. Just flows on, indifferent to the empires that rise and fall along its banks. You return to your quarters as the moon rises. The barracks are quiet except for the soft snoring of tired men. Your pallet is thin but dry, the wool blanket coarse but warm. You lie back, feeling the day's aches settle into your muscles. Your breathing slows naturally. In, out. The familiar smells of the barracks, timber, sweat, the faint tang of metal fade as you close your eyes. Your body grows heavier, sinking into the simple bed. Getting comfortable now, finding that perfect position. Your thoughts drift between two worlds, the roundhouse of your childhood and the straight stone roads of your present. Just as you're about to drift deeper, a sound catches your attention. Footsteps, voices. You shift slightly, settling deeper as you strain to hear the whispered conversation outside the door coming from the street outside. Latin, spoken urgently. "Trouble in the west," a man's voice says. "The Silures tribe ambushed a grain convoy." Again, this voice you recognize, the barracks prefect. That's the third this month. They're getting bolder. The new governor wants reinforcements sent immediately. Their voices fade as they move away. You lie still, staring up at the wooden beams overhead. The Silures, a fierce mountain tribe from the western reaches, still fighting, still free. Something stirs in your chest. Hope? Loyalty to your people? Or just a vague restlessness after months of ordered Roman life? Morning comes too soon. Work begins as always, but the conversation haunts you throughout the day, as does the memory of Enica's words months ago. There are still those who resist. Gallus notices your distraction. Something troubles you, he says, as you check measurements for the bridge's final arch. No, sir. The lie comes easily now. You've learned that too from the Romans, to say what's expected rather than what's true. He studies you, then looks out across the river. "I was young when I first came to a conquered land," he says, unexpectedly. "Hispania. My father was a legionary who settled there after his service. The locals hated us." He smiles faintly at the memory. "Can't blame them, really." You say nothing, afraid of revealing too much. "It passes," he continues. "The hatred, the resistance. It always does. Rome is..." He pauses, searching for the right word. "Inevitable." That evening, returning to the barracks, you take a different route. Not the main street with its shops and taverns, but the narrow paths that wind behind the buildings where the servants and slaves move like shadows. A figure steps into your path, hooded, face hidden. Your hand goes to your father's knife, always at your belt. "Road builder," a woman's voice, familiar. The hood tilts back slightly. "Enica." You glance around quickly. No one nearby. "They said you'd gone." "I did. I came back." Her eyes hold yours. "There's someone who wants to meet you." "Who?" "A man who knew your father." Your heart stumbles. "My father is dead." "Yes, he died fighting at the Thames crossing. Bravely, they say." She steps closer. "His son might honour his memory." "It's a test. A dangerous one." "I'm just a road builder." "Yes." Her smile is knife-sharp. "Who knows Roman ways? Roman weaknesses?" So that's it. They want information. The resistance, the Silures or whoever still fights in the shadows. "I could report you," you say, more to buy time than as a real threat. "You could." She doesn't seem concerned. "Will you? Will you?" The question echoes in your mind as you stand frozen in the deepening twilight. Betray this woman and whatever resistance she represents? Or betray Gallus, who's treated you fairly, taught you valuable skills? "I need time," you say finally, "to think." She nods, seemingly unsurprised. 3 nights from now, the old shrine beyond the east gate, after the midnight watch change. She steps back into the shadows. Come or don't, but speak of this to no one. Then she's gone, leaving you alone with a choice that suddenly makes the bridge engineering seem simple in comparison. For 3 days, you go about your work as normal, or try to. Gallus comments again on your distraction, but doesn't press when you blame it on poor sleep. You watch the Romans with new eyes now, counting guards, noting patrol patterns, observing how the grain stores are protected, how messages are relayed, how the water supply is maintained, all the small details that keep this imperial machine functioning. And you think of your father, what would he want for you? Survival at any cost, resistance to the bitter end, or something in between? A life in this new world that somehow honours the old? The third night comes. The choice can't be delayed any longer. You slip out after dark when most of the barracks is asleep. The guards know you. You sometimes work late with Gallus, return after hours. They wave you through with barely a glance. The streets of Camulodunum are never truly quiet. Even at this hour there are people about, slaves running late errands, drunken soldiers returning from taverns, the occasional patrol. You keep to the shadows, moving with purpose but not hurry. Looking guilty is the surest way to attract attention. The east gate is manned by two auxiliaries, Batavian by their distinctive helmets, the famous river warriors who helped Rome win at the Medway. They're alert but bored, playing some dice game to pass the time. You wait in an alley until the watch changes. The relief guards are less attentive, still shaking off sleep. Slipping past them is almost too easy. Beyond the gate, civilization quickly gives way to wilderness. There are farms, yes, but between them stretch woods and meadows, little changed since before the Romans came. The old shrine is a small stone circle atop a gentle hill 1/2 mile from the town walls. Ancient, sacred to your people, long before Rome was anything more than a collection of huts on a distant river. As you approach, you see the faint glow of a fire within the circle. Shadows move against it. 3, maybe 4 people. You hesitate at the edge of the trees. Last chance to turn back. Return to the barracks. Forget this foolishness. A twig snaps behind you. You whirl, knife drawn. Careful, road builder. Enica emerges from the darkness like a spirit. You're jumpy for someone who's just thinking. "I came," you say, sheathing the blade. "That's all I promised." She nods toward the stone circle. "He's waiting." The he turns out to be an old man seated on a fallen stone by the small fire. His white beard reaches his chest. His eyes, deeply set in a web of wrinkles, reflect the flames. 2 younger men stand nearby, clearly guards, though they carry hunting bows rather than Roman weapons. "The son of Brennus," the old man says as you approach. His voice is surprisingly strong. "You have your father's look about you. You knew him." "I did. We were boys together, then warriors." His gaze is evaluating, measuring. "He died as he lived, true to his people." You say nothing. What is there to say? "Sit." He gestures to a stone opposite his. "We have much to discuss." The fire is warm against the night's chill. Someone passes you a skin of something that burns going down. Not Roman wine, but the stronger spirit your people brew from grain. "You work for them now," the old man says. Not a question. "I build roads, bridges." Yes, making it easier for them to move their armies, their goods, their influence. No judgment in his tone, simply stating facts. "It's that or slave in the mines," you say defensively. "At least I learned skills." "Indeed," he nods slowly. "Valuable skills to Rome, and potentially to us." And there it is, the reason for this meeting. "What do you want from me?" "Information, for now." He leans forward slightly. "The garrison size, patrol schedules, weak points in the defences." "You're planning an attack? On Camulodunum?" The idea seems insane. The town is too well defended. No. He waves a dismissive hand. "Nothing so dramatic, but there are supply lines to disrupt, messages to intercept, small victories to win while we gather strength." "For what?" His eyes meet yours across the flames. "For when he returns." "Who?" Caraticus. You can't help but laugh. Caraticus is in Rome, living in a villa, eating Roman bread, drinking Roman wine. So they want us to believe. The old man smiles thinly. The man they parade through Rome was not Caraticus. This is madness or desperate self-deception. I saw him myself in chains. You saw a man in chains, a brave man who sacrificed himself to protect the real king. The old man's certainty is unsettling. Caraticus lives. He gathers allies in the west, and when the time is right, he will return to drive the eagles back across the water. You want to argue, but what's the point? Let them have their fantasy if it comforts them. Even if that were true, you say instead, what difference would it make? For every Roman you kill, 10 more come. For every supply line you cut, they build another road. They're like the tide. You can't fight the tide. No. The old man agrees, but you can learn to swim in it, navigate it, use its power for your own purposes. He's not what you expected, not a wild-eyed zealot calling for Roman blood. There's calculation here, strategy. You don't need me, you say. There must be hundreds of Britons working in Camalodunum, slaves, servants, workers. Any of them could tell you what you want to know. Many do. He nods. But few understand what they see as you do. You've been taught to think like them, to see the patterns, the systems. He points at you. Gallus has trained you well. The mention of your mentor's name is jarring. You've been watching me. Of course, since you arrived. He gestures to Enica. We have eyes everywhere. The conversation continues long into the night. They ask questions, specific, detailed questions about the town's defences, the bridge construction, the movement of officials. You answer some, deflect others, neither committing fully nor refusing outright. Dawn approaches before they seem satisfied. As the eastern sky lightens, the old man rises stiffly. Think on what we've discussed, he says. We'll contact you again, soon. And if I refuse, you ask? If I report this meeting? His smile is sad. Then many will die, including, eventually, you. He rests a gnarled hand on your shoulder. But I don't think you'll refuse. You are your father's son, and the blood of Britain still flows in your veins, no matter how Roman your mind has become. You return to Camalodunum as the town awakens. The guards at the gate are changing again. They nod to you, just another early worker heading to his job. Gallus is already at the bridge site when you arrive, looking over the previous day's progress. He glances up as you approach. You look terrible, he observes bluntly. Sick? Couldn't sleep, you reply. At least that's not a lie. He studies you a moment longer, then turns back to the plans. The final archstones arrive today. We'll begin setting them at midday. The work proceeds as normal. Your hands move through familiar tasks while your mind circles endlessly around the choice before you. Betray Rome, which, despite everything, has given you a place, skills, a future of sorts. Or betray your people, your heritage, your father's memory. Is there no middle path, no way to survive this new world without losing yourself entirely? The answer comes to you gradually as the day progresses. By evening, as you help Gallus pack away the surveying tools, you've made your decision. Sir, you say carefully, there's something you should know. He looks up, eyebrows raised. There's talk among the British workers, rumours. You choose each word with precision. About resistance in the West. The Silures. He nods. Nothing new there. This is different. They say Caraticus is alive, planning something. Gallus's expression sharpens. Where did you hear this? In the markets, the taverns. Another partial truth. People whisper when they think no Romans are listening. He's silent a moment, considering. Have you been approached? Asked to help in some way? Here it is. The moment of choice. No, you say firmly. But if I am, I could listen, learn what they're planning. His eyes narrow. That would be dangerous for everyone involved. I'm trusted, you insist. I'm Brennus's son. They know my father died fighting Romans. And yet here you are, working for Rome, which makes me perfectly placed to hear things you can't. He's quiet again, longer this time. When he speaks, his voice is lower. What you're suggesting, it's been done before. It doesn't always end well for the listener. I understand the risk. Do you? If they discover your true loyalty, my loyalty, you interrupt, is to survival, mine, my family's, my people's. You meet his gaze steadily. The only way to survive Rome is to become useful to Rome. A smile touches his lips. Now that, he says, is the most Roman thing I've ever heard you say. That night, sleep comes surprisingly easily. The decision is made. The path forward, if dangerous, is at least clear. You'll walk the edge between two worlds. Give enough to each side to maintain trust. Try to prevent the worst excesses of both. It won't be easy. It may not even be possible. But it's the only choice that lets you keep some piece of yourself intact. The wooden pallet feels almost comfortable now after months of use. Your body has adapted, finding the softest spots, avoiding the hardest. Your muscles relax, heavy with the day's work. The familiar sounds of the barracks, men snoring, shifting in sleep, the occasional mutter of dreams create a soothing backdrop. Your breathing slows, deepens. Outside, an owl calls. Then again, the sound takes you back to your village, to nights spent listening to such calls through the thatch of the roundhouse. Your eyelids grow heavier as memories blend with the present. Your body settles deeper into the simple bed as you drift towards sleep, comfortable now, at ease, even as your mind continues to gently process the day's events. Your breathing falls into a natural rhythm as the moon rises over Camalodunum, casting silver light through the small window onto the rough timber walls where Romans and Britons alike sleep under the same stars their ancestors watched for countless generations. Seasons change. The bridge is completed, a perfect arch of stone that will stand for centuries after everyone who built it is dust. Gallus receives a commendation from the governor. You receive a small bonus of silver denarii and a new position as Gallus's official assistant. Your double life begins in earnest. Every few weeks there are meetings, sometimes with the old man at the stone circle, sometimes with Enica or other messengers in town, brief encounters in marketplaces, taverns or shadowed alleys. You pass information, carefully selected, patrol schedules that will change anyway, supply shipments of limited value, the movements of minor officials, enough to maintain trust without causing serious harm. And you report to Gallus afterward. Not everything, just enough to prove your value, to convince him your loyalty to Rome is genuine. It's an exhausting balance, every word measured, every action calculated. You trust no one completely, not the resistance fighters who see you as a necessary tool, not the Romans who view you as a useful native, not even yourself sometimes. Yet there are moments of genuine connection. Gallus teaches you more advanced engineering principles, how to calculate load-bearing weights, how to design aqueducts that will carry water for miles using nothing but gravity, how to create buildings that seem to defy nature itself. You have a gift, he tells you one evening as you pore over plans for a new project, a Roman-style bathhouse for the growing settlement. A rare mind. In Rome, you could be more than an assistant. You could design great works yourself. The thought is both tempting and terrifying. Rome, the heart of the empire. So far from everything you've known. Perhaps someday, you say non-committally, Then there's Enica. Your meetings, though ostensibly about resistance business, sometimes linger. You talk of other things, your childhoods, your hopes, your fears for the uncertain future. I was to be a priestess, she tells you one night as you walk along the riverbank, far enough from town to speak freely. Before the Romans came, I was training with the Druids. The Druids, the sacred class, keepers of knowledge, law, and ritual. The Romans have outlawed them, hunted them. Many fled to the Western Islands. What happened, you ask? Her face hardens. Soldiers came to our sacred grove, looking for rebels, they said. There was a misunderstanding. She touches a faint scar along her jawline. I was lucky. Others weren't. You don't press for details. Some wounds are best left undisturbed. And now, you ask instead? She shrugs. Now I serve food to Romans by day and plot their downfall by night. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. We adapt or die, yes? Isn't that what your Roman mentor teaches? You want to argue that Gallus isn't your Roman, but the words stick in your throat, because in some ways, he is. You've learned from him, respected him, even liked him. We all do what we must, you say finally. As summer turns to autumn and autumn to winter, tensions rise in Camulodunum. More reports of attacks in the west. The Silures grow bolder. A tax collector and his escort ambushed and killed. A Roman farm burned. The new governor, Ostorius Scapula, responds with increasing harshness. Public floggings for minor infractions. Hostages taken from tribes suspected of aiding the rebels. More troops requisitioned from the continent. It will get worse before it gets better, Gallus tells you grimly after a particularly brutal punishment. A British merchant executed for allegedly supplying weapons to the resistance. Scapula is not a man of half measures. You learn through your resistance contacts that a major operation is planned. Something bigger than the usual hit-and-run attacks. Something meant to shake Roman confidence, to show Britain is not yet conquered. But details are scarce. Even the old man seems uncertain when you meet him at the winter solstice. Plans change, is all he'll say. Best you don't know too much. You report this vague threat to Gallus. As expected, he passes it up the chain of command. Security tightens around key Roman installations. Patrols increase, and then nothing happens. Weeks pass. The expected attack never comes. False information, the prefect says dismissively when Gallus inquires. Or they lost their nerve. But you're uneasy. This doesn't feel like a false alarm or a failure of nerve. It feels like a change of strategy. Your answer comes on a bitter January morning, not with fire and swords, but with a whisper that races through the British quarter of Camulodunum. Caraticus has taken a legion's eagle. The eagle, the sacred standard of a Roman legion, more than a symbol, it's the embodiment of the legion's honour, its very soul. No greater shame can befall Roman soldiers than to lose their eagle. The details filter through over the following days. A daring raid on a legion camp far to the west. A night attack during a storm. The sacred eagle stolen from the commander's tent while the legion slept. Is it true, you ask Gallus when you finally dare to broach the subject, about the eagle? His face is grim. Yes, the 9th. Scapula is displeased. An understatement. The governor is furious. His retribution is swift and terrible. Suspected sympathizer villages burned, tribal leaders executed, bounties placed on known resistance members. Your position becomes even more precarious. The Romans watch their British workers with renewed suspicion. The resistance, emboldened by success, pushes for more information, more access, more risk. We need to know the governor's movements, Enneka tells you during a hasty meeting in a crowded market. When he travels, his escort size, his routes. You pull back, alarmed. That's assassination talk. She doesn't deny it. Would that trouble you after all you've seen? Would it? You're not sure anymore. The lines you once drew so carefully have blurred over time. It's suicide, you say instead. Kill Scapula and Rome sends someone worse, with more legions. Perhaps. Her eyes hold yours. Or perhaps it shows Rome that Britain will never be truly conquered, that holding this island will always cost more than it's worth. You don't report this conversation to Gallus. You tell yourself it's because there's nothing concrete to report. Just talk. Speculation. But the truth is darker, more complicated. Winter deepens. The Thames freezes for the first time in living memory. Work on the bathhouse slows but doesn't stop. Romans are determined that way. Not even ice and snow will prevent progress. You're checking the foundation measurements one grey afternoon when a messenger finds you. Not a resistance contact, but an official Roman courier. Gallus requires your presence, he says formally, at the governor's residence, immediately. Your heart stutters. Have you been discovered? Is this arrest? Execution? You follow the courier through streets made narrow by snowbanks. The governor's residence, once the palace of a British king, looms ahead, its timber and stone construction an uneasy blend of native and Roman styles. Guards check you for weapons before allowing entry. Inside, braziers fight against the winter chill. Walls that once held British war trophies now display Roman military standards and imperial busts. Gallus waits in a side chamber, along with two men you don't recognise. One wears the insignia of a senior centurion, the other the plain tunic of a civilian, but his bearing suggests authority. Ah, there you are. Gallus's tone is neutral, giving nothing away. Gentlemen, this is the assistant I mentioned. The plain-clothed man studies you with unnervingly direct eyes. This is the Briton who's been providing information about the resistance. So that's it. Your role as informant is being evaluated, but by whom? Yes, Procurator, Gallus answers. He's been most reliable. Procurator, a high civilian official then, possibly the governor's direct representative for financial matters. And you trust him? The centurion sounds sceptical. After that business with the eagle, I wouldn't trust any of them. With respect, Centurion, Gallus says carefully, making enemies of all Britons serves no one, especially Rome. There are those who see cooperation is in everyone's interest. The procurator nods thoughtfully. Indeed, which brings us to the matter at hand. He turns to you. We have received information about a gathering. Rebels. Planning further actions against Roman authority, tonight at an old sacred site east of the town. The stone circle. Your blood runs cold. We intend to capture them, the centurion says with evident satisfaction. All of them, and you will help us. Not a question, a statement. How? Your voice sounds distant to your own ears. You know this place, the procurator says. You've met these people before. You will attend this meeting as expected, learn what you can, then signal our men when all the rebels are present. The trap is elegant in its simplicity, and you have no way to refuse without revealing your divided loyalties. When, you ask, playing for time, for thoughts, for options that don't end in tragedy. You'll leave at dusk, the centurion says. A squad of my best men will follow at a distance. When the time is right, you'll signal with this. He hands you a small bronze mirror. Catch the moonlight, 3 flashes, we'll do the rest. You take the mirror numbly. There must be a way out of this, some path that doesn't end with the old man, Enneka, and the others in chains, or with you exposed as a traitor to Rome. I understand, you say, because it's the only thing you can say. Gallus walks you part of the way back to the worksite. Snow has begun to fall again, soft flakes that catch in your hair and melt on your skin. Be careful tonight, he says quietly, when you're alone. These are dangerous times. You search his face for some hidden meaning, some acknowledgement of the impossible position you're in, but his expression reveals nothing. I always am, you reply. The hours until dusk pass with excruciating slowness. You go through the motions of work, your mind racing through scenarios, possibilities, potential escapes. None seem viable. You could run, leave Camalodunum before nightfall, but where would you go? How far would you get before they caught you? And what would happen to your family if they still live? You could warn the resistance, but how? There's no time to find a trusted messenger, and the Romans will surely be watching you now. You could refuse to cooperate, claim illness, but that would only delay the inevitable. The Romans would find another way, with or without you. Or you could do as they ask. Betray the people who, despite everything, are your people, who fight for a Britain free of Roman rule, even if that fight seems hopeless. Dusk arrives. With it, a squad of 8 soldiers, not in uniform, but clearly legionaries by their bearing. Their leader, a scarred veteran named Rufus, gives you curt instructions. We follow at 50 paces. You enter the circle alone, as usual. When all rebels are present, give the signal, then get down. Stay down until it's over. The journey to the stone circle is a nightmare. Snow has stopped falling, but the night is bitter cold. The moon, nearly full, casts blue-white light across the frozen landscape. Perfect conditions for an ambush. As you approach the sacred site, you can see the now familiar glow of a small fire within the circle. Shadows move around it. How many? 4, 5, not a large gathering. Perhaps not everyone has arrived yet. The legionaries melt into the darkness behind you. Alone now, you walk the final distance to the circle, each step feeling like a betrayal. The old man is there. As always, Enneka too. 2 other men you recognise from previous meetings. They nod in greeting as you enter the sacred space. You're late, Enneka says, but without real reproach. The Romans are watching British workers more closely since you don't need to finish. Since the eagle, the old man gestures for you to sit. We won't keep you long tonight. Just news to share. News, plans, more likely future targets, information that would be invaluable to the waiting soldiers. Your hand closes around the bronze mirror in your pocket. 3 flashes, that's all it would take. Before we begin, you say, fighting to keep your voice steady, I need to step away a moment. The old man nods. Natural enough, the Romans have no privy facilities out here. You walk to the edge of the circle, then beyond, into the darkness between 2 of the ancient stones. Far enough that the others can't see you clearly, but not so far as to raise suspicion. The mirror feels heavy in your hand, the moonlight bright enough to create a clear signal. The legionaries will be watching, waiting. 3 flashes and it's done. These people, your people, captured or killed, any hope of resistance crushed, but you survive, perhaps even prosper in the new Roman Britain. Or the weight of the decision settles into your bones. You take a deep breath of the cold night air. In the distance, an owl calls. Once, twice, a sound that hasn't changed since long before Romans or even Britons walked this land. You make your choice. Your fingers relax, letting the bronze mirror fall silently into the deep snow at your feet. It disappears without a trace. You return to the fire, to the waiting faces of your countrymen. Whatever comes next, for you, for them, for Britain, at least you'll face it without this final betrayal on your conscience. Sorry, you say, settling back onto your stone seat. The cold. The old man nods understandingly. Winter bites deep this year. A sign, perhaps. Of what? You ask. Change. he says simply. Nothing lasts forever, not even Rome. The meeting continues. You listen with only half your attention, the rest straining for any sound of approaching soldiers. How long will they wait for a signal that won't come? What will they do when they realize you've betrayed them? Finally, mercifully, the gathering ends. The small fire is extinguished. The participants slip away in different directions, as always. Walk with me part way, Enneka says, falling in beside you as you head back toward Camulodunum. You want to warn her, to tell her to go west, far west, away from the Romans who will surely be looking for both of you soon, but you can't, not without revealing the trap, your role in it, the years of partial betrayals. So you walk in silence through the moonlit snow, each step taking you closer to whatever waits at the end of this path you've chosen. You're quiet tonight, she observes after a while. Thinking, you reply. About? About choices, about loyalty, about a future suddenly uncertain. My father, you say instead. What he would make of all this. She nods. I think about my teachers sometimes, the Druids, what they would say about the choices I've made. And what would they say? She considers this as you walk. That balance must be maintained, that for every action there is a consequence, that what seems like an ending is often a beginning. Druid wisdom, obscure, circular, yet somehow comforting in its ancient certainty. You part ways at a crossroads, she heading west to wherever she shelters, you east toward Camulodunum, toward whatever awaits. Until next time, she says, the traditional farewell of your meetings. You nod, not trusting yourself to speak. Will there be a next time, or will tonight's choice be your last? The walk back to town seems both endless and too short. Your mind churns with possibilities, with plans, with regrets. The town gate is closed for the night. As expected, you approach the small side postern where a guard usually allows workers with valid reasons to enter after hours. The guard isn't the usual one. This man is taller, his face obscured by his helmet's cheek pieces. Purpose? He asks gruffly as you approach. Returning from checking the North Aqueduct line, you lie smoothly. Engineer Gallus's orders. He studies you for a long moment, then nods once and steps aside. Just like that, no questions about why you're coming from the east, not the north, no checking of your muddied boots. You slip through the doorway, tension coiling tighter in your gut. Something isn't right. The streets are quiet, too quiet for even this late hour. No patrols, no revelers stumbling from taverns, just empty, silent darkness. You take side streets, alleys, the paths least travelled. Your hand stays near your father's knife, though what good it would do against Roman swords, you can't say. The barracks comes into view, no lights in the windows, everyone asleep or empty. You approach cautiously, every sense straining for danger. The door is unlatched. It swings open at your touch, revealing darkness beyond. Gallus, you call softly, stepping inside. Silence answers. Then a faint scrape of metal on stone. You turn, but too late. A shape lunges from the shadows. Pain explodes across the back of your head. The world tilts, spins, fades. Your last thought before darkness claims you is oddly peaceful. At least the choice is out of your hands now. You dream of the roundhouse, of firelight on clay walls, of herbs drying from roof beams, of your mother's voice singing softly in the darkness. When consciousness returns, it comes slowly. First, sensation. You're lying on something soft, not your barracks pallet. Finer. Then smell. Herbs, unfamiliar, yet pleasant. Sound follows, quiet breathing nearby, not your own. You open your eyes, blink against unexpected daylight. You're in a room you don't recognize, small but well-appointed. A Roman room with plastered walls and a tiled floor. A window lets in winter sunlight, and beside the bed, in a simple wooden chair, sits Gallus, your muscles tense, ready to flee, fight, something. But pain lances through your skull at the movement. You groan. Careful, Gallus says, his voice neutral. The physician says you need rest. What? Your throat is dry, your voice a croak. What happened? He passes you a cup of water. You were attacked just outside the barracks 2 nights ago. 2 nights? You've lost days? Who? You manage after drinking? Unknown assailants? Presumably robbers. His eyes tell a different story. This is the official version for whoever might be listening. The mirror, you say, remembering suddenly. I lost it. In the snow. Yes. He nods slowly. Most unfortunate. The operation was unsuccessful as a result. So, the legionaries waited, received no signal, eventually returned empty-handed, and found you gone. The procurator was displeased, Gallus continues. The centurion even more so. They had questions. You can imagine those questions, pointed ones, possibly accompanied by pointed implements. What did you tell them? You have to know. That you were a loyal servant of Rome, that you'd never failed in a task before, that the attack on you suggested the rebels somehow knew of the plan. He'd defended you, despite the obvious implications. Why? The question slips out before you can stop it. Gallus is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is so low you have to strain to hear. I was young once, in a conquered land, faced with impossible choices. He meets your eyes. I made my share of mistakes, but I survived, learned, adapted. Is he saying what you think he's saying? That he too once walked the knife edge between 2 worlds? Rest now, he says, rising from the chair. We'll speak more when you're stronger. He moves to the door, then pauses. Oh, and when you're well enough to travel, I've arranged a new posting for both of us at Londinium. The governor is establishing a major settlement there. They need engineers. Londinium, the new Roman town being built on the Thames, far from Camulodunum, from the resistance connections here. A fresh start. Thank you, you say, not sure what else to say. He nods once and is gone. You sink back onto the soft mattress. A proper Roman bed, you realise, not a Briton's sleeping mat. The pain in your head throbs dully, but it's manageable. Your thoughts drift between worlds again, the Britain of your childhood and the Romanised province it's becoming. Your breathing slows naturally as the winter sunlight warms your face through the window. Your body feels heavy, tired, despite the days of unconsciousness. The scented herbs, lavender, you think, and something else, something Roman, fill your senses. Comfortable now, you feel yourself drifting back towards sleep, healing sleep. Your limbs grow heavier as tension releases from muscles you didn't know were tight. Settling deeper into the unusual comfort of a Roman bed, you find yourself thinking that adaptation doesn't have to mean surrender, that survival isn't the same as defeat, that perhaps there's a way to carry the best of both worlds forward into whatever comes next. Your breathing deepens, slows. Your eyes grow heavy as you gaze up at the plastered ceiling, so different from the thatch of your childhood home. Yet the sky beyond the window is the same sky, the sun, the same sun. Some things change, some endure. You shift slightly, finding that perfect position where the pain in your head subsides to a distant whisper, getting more comfortable as your thoughts turn to what Londinium might hold and what future might await a person caught between 2 worlds. Spring arrives before you're fully healed. The blow to your head was worse than initially thought. Headaches plague you. Memory sometimes slips. The physician, a Greek man with gentle hands and stern instructions, insists on further rest. So your departure for Londinium is delayed. You remain in the small Villa Gallus arranged for your recovery, not in the barracks, not with other workers, but in a quiet corner of the Roman district, isolated, protected, or perhaps simply removed from prying eyes. Gallus visits when his duties allow, bringing news, books, the occasional treat from the markets. You learn that the resistance suffered losses in your absence. The old man captured in a raid, others scattered, Enica's fate unknown. You never speak directly of what happened that winter night at the stone circle, of the choice you made, of the mirror buried in snow, but you think Gallus knows, just as you suspect he's made similar choices in his own past. The procurator has been recalled to Rome, he tells you during one visit. Disagreements with the governor about administrative methods. His tone suggests there's more to the story. Administrative methods likely means how harshly to treat the native population, how many to execute as examples, how much tax to extract from already struggling communities. And the centurion, you ask, the man who planned the ambush at the stone circle. Reassigned to the northern frontier, Gallus's smile is thin, where his particular skills are more needed. You understand the unspoken message. Your enemies, or at least the most dangerous ones, are gone, for now. By late spring, the physician finally pronounces you fit for travel. Not fully healed, that may take years, if ever, but well enough to resume work, to begin again in a new place. The journey to Londinium takes 3 days along the new Roman road. You travel in a small party, Gallus, yourself, 2 servants and 4 auxiliary guards, not for protection against bandits you suspect, but to ensure you actually arrive at your destination. Londinium is a revelation. Unlike Camulodunum, which was built upon an existing British settlement, this is a purely Roman creation, barely a decade old, but growing rapidly where the Thames narrows enough to bridge. The bridge itself is your first sight of the town, a marvel of timber engineering spanning the mighty river. Barges and boats crowd the water below. The banks teem with activity, warehouses, wharves, markets, all buzzing with commerce. Impressed? Gallus asks, noting your expression as you cross the bridge. It's so new, you reply. Where Camulodunum felt like a Roman mask placed over a British face, this is something entirely different. A piece of Rome transplanted to British soil. The governor believes this will be the centre of the province eventually, Gallus says. Better positioned for trade, easier to defend, room to grow. Your new quarters are small but private, attached to a warehouse near the river. Your new duties are challenging but clear. Assist in designing drainage systems for the expanding town, supervise construction crews, ensure Roman standards are maintained. No more resistance contacts, no more coded messages, no more moonlit meetings at ancient stone circles, just work, Roman work, building a Roman town on British land. Is this surrender, acceptance, or simply survival? Weeks pass, then months. You settle into the rhythm of this new life. The headaches diminish, though never entirely vanish. Your skills improve under Gallus's continued tutelage. You learn more about your mentor too, how he came to Britain with the invasion force as a military engineer, how he requested to stay when his service ended, seeing opportunity in this new province, how he never married, devoting himself instead to his work, his books, his quiet appreciation of both Roman comforts and British landscapes. Do you miss Rome? You ask him one evening as you share a meal at his modest home. He considers this, swirling wine in his cup. I miss certain aspects, the baths, the libraries, the theatres, a small smile. But Rome is crowded, competitive, political. Here, there's space, opportunity, fewer eyes watching your every move. You understand completely. Summer arrives. With it, news from across the province. The resistance continues in the west, though diminished. Caraticus, or someone claiming to be him, remains elusive in the mountains. The 9th Legion's eagle is still missing, a continuing embarrassment to Rome. But here in Londinium, such concerns feel distant. The town grows visibly week by week. Timber buildings rise along carefully surveyed streets. Wells are dug, sewers laid. A forum takes shape at the centre. Roman civilization, literally under construction, and you help build it. With every drainage ditch, every foundation, every surveyed street, you extend Roman order across British soil. The irony isn't lost on you. One hot afternoon, supervising a crew excavating a new well, you notice a woman watching from across the street. Something in her stance, the way she holds herself, catches your attention. Enica, your heart jumps. You find an excuse to dismiss the workers for a water break, then cross to where she stands in the shadow of a half-built shop. "You're alive," you say, not bothering with pleasantries. "As are you." Her eyes search your face. "We heard you were killed after the ambush failed." Or nearly was. You touch the back of your head involuntarily, where a ridge of scar tissue now hides beneath your hair. "What are you doing here? It's dangerous." "Where isn't?" She glances around, ever cautious. "I came to warn you and to ask for help." Of course. Why else would she risk exposure? What kind of help? You already know you'll give it, whatever it is. Despite everything, despite the years of half-truths and divided loyalties, she is still your people, still Britain. "Passage west," she says, "for myself and 3 others. The resistance here in the east is finished. We need to reach Caraticus, so he is alive, or at least she believes he is. I'm an engineer, not a smuggler," you say, but without conviction. "You have access, knowledge of routes, which roads are patrolled, which aren't." Her hand brushes yours, a fleeting touch. "Please. You should refuse, should walk away, return to your Roman life, your Roman future, but..." "Meet me tonight," you say, making a decision that could undo everything. The old oak by the west gate, after the midnight watch change. Her smile is brief but genuine. "Thank you." She's gone before you can change your mind. That night, you help 4 British fugitives slip past Roman guards and onto a trader's wagon bound for the Western territories. You don't ask their names or their crimes against Rome. Better not to know. Enica is the last to climb aboard. In the moonlight, her face is shadowed, mysterious. "Come with us," she says suddenly, surprising you. "Your skills would be valuable, and you don't belong here, building Roman towns." For a moment, you're tempted to leave this compromise of a life, to fully commit to one side of the divide you've straddled for so long. But the moment passes. "I belong nowhere," you tell her honestly. "Not fully British anymore, not ever truly Roman." "Then make a new place," she insists, "with your own people." "My people are scattered," you say. Some dead, some enslaved, some becoming Roman. The world changes, Enica. We change with it or we break against it. She studies you for a long moment. Your Roman speaks through you now. Perhaps he does. Perhaps Gallus's pragmatism has infected you, or perhaps it's simply the truth arrived at through your own painful experience. "Be safe," you say, helping her onto the wagon. "Whatever comes next." "And you." She grips your hand once, tightly. "Remember who you are, road builder. Remember your father." Then she's gone, the wagon creaking into the night, bearing its secret cargo toward an uncertain future. You return to your quarters, half expecting Roman guards to be waiting, but there's only silence, darkness, your simple bed. Did you do the right thing? The wise thing? You don't know. May never know. Life continues in Londinium. The town grows. Your reputation as an engineer grows with it. You're given more responsibility, more complex projects, a public bath, a small temple, eventually your own team of workers to supervise. Years pass. The province settles into an uneasy peace. The resistance never fully dies in the west, but becomes a chronic irritation rather than an existential threat. Roman ways spread gradually across the land, not through force alone, but through convenience, commerce, intermarriage. You receive word that your mother and brothers are alive, resettled in a new Roman-style village where your home once stood. They have a stone house now, grow Roman crops. Your youngest brother speaks Latin better than British. Gallus ages, his hair turning fully white, his back beginning to stoop. But his mind remains sharp, his friendship a constant in your changing world. "I'm recommending you for promotion," he tells you one day as you inspect the newly completed forum together. Principal engineer for the Eastern Territories, based here, but with authority throughout the region. You're stunned. That's a position for a Roman citizen. "Yes." His eyes twinkle. "Which is why I've also recommended you for citizenship. The governor has approved it. The ceremony is next month. A Roman citizen, you, the son of Brennus, who died fighting legionaries at the Thames crossing. What would your father say? What would the old man from the stone circle think? What would Enneka call you now? But they are ghosts, echoes of a Britain that's fading year by year. This is the new reality, the province of Britannia. Neither fully Roman nor truly independent. A hybrid place for hybrid people like yourself. "Thank you," you tell Gallus, meaning it despite the complexity of emotions swirling beneath. The citizenship ceremony is brief but dignified. You speak the oath in Latin, receive the wooden tablet that confirms your new status, accept congratulations from officials who once would have seen you only as a conquered barbarian. That night, alone in the house you've gradually improved over the years, you take out your father's knife. The bone handle is worn smooth from years of handling. The blade, still sharp, catches the lamplight. You were a child when the Romans came, when the world changed. Now you're a man approaching middle age, a Roman citizen, a builder of Roman towns on British soil. Yet you still keep this knife, this connection to what came before, this reminder of who you were, of the choices you've made, the prices you've paid. You'll never be fully one thing or the other, neither will this land, this Britannia that was once simply Britain. The old and new will continue to blend, to clash, to reconcile in unexpected ways. Roman order and British spirit. Imperial power and island independence. It's not the future anyone imagined when the legions first landed all those years ago, not what Emperor Claudius envisioned when he rode his war elephants to Camalodunum, not what your father fought and died to prevent, but it's the future that's unfolding, and you've helped shape it, for better or worse, with every road built, every bridge raised, every choice made at critical moments. In the morning, you'll begin your new duties as a principal engineer. There are ambitious plans, more towns, more roads, more Roman improvements to this distant province. Work that will last centuries, perhaps. Structures that might stand long after both Rome and Britain are memories. But for now, in the quiet of your room, you place the knife carefully back in its hiding place. A relic of a different time, a touchstone to remember where you came from, even as you move forward into what will be. You extinguish the lamp. Darkness settles around you, comfortable and familiar. You've come a long way from that cold morning in the roundhouse when you first heard the Romans were coming. Your bed is Roman style now, raised off the floor, with a proper mattress stuffed with wool. No more sleeping mats on packed earth. Your blanket is fine woven cloth, not rough homespun. The roof above is tiled, not thatched, yet as you settle back against the pillow, your body remembers those simpler beds of childhood, how you found comfort, even on hard surfaces, how sleep came easily after days of physical work. The weight of the day's events, the ceremony, the memories, all settle into your limbs, making them heavy against the mattress. Your breathing slows naturally, finding its own gentle rhythm. The sounds of Londinium fade as night deepens. No more cartwheels on stone streets, no more voices calling, just distant owl calls, so similar to those you heard as a child, reminding you that some things remain unchanged, despite everything. Your eyelids grow heavy now as you gaze up at the shadowed ceiling. The tension in your shoulders melts away, sinking down into the mattress. Each breath comes a little deeper, a little slower. Your mind drifts between worlds, the Britain of your childhood and the Britannia of your present. The roundhouse and the Roman villa. The past and the future. All existing together in this moment of perfect stillness. Let your thoughts become like clouds passing in a summer sky. No need to hold on to them, no need to follow them, just watching them drift by as your body grows heavier, more relaxed. The weight of your head against the pillow feels just right, perfect. Your jaw softens, your forehead smooths, even your tongue rests easily in your mouth. Feel that delicious heaviness spreading through your arms now, down to your fingertips. So heavy you couldn't lift them if you tried, but there's no need to try. Just let them rest. That same comfortable weight flows through your chest, your stomach, your hips. Everything releasing, surrendering to gravity's gentle pull. And now your legs, growing heavier with each breath. Your knees, your calves, all the way to your feet, so completely relaxed. As your body settles deeper into sleep, your mind can drift to peaceful places, perhaps to the ancient forests of Britain where druids once walked among sacred groves, or to the straight Roman roads stretching toward distant horizons. It doesn't matter where. Both worlds are part of you now. Both stories live in your blood, your bones, your breath. Let sleep carry you now, deeper and deeper, like a leaf on a gentle river, flowing effortlessly toward dreams, toward rest, toward peace. The ancient Britons believed that in sleep the soul could travel beyond the body, that dreams were journeys through other worlds. The Romans believed sleep was a small death, a brother to the final rest that awaits us all. Both were right in their way. Sleep is a journey, a release, a small surrender that renews us. So surrender now to that heavy, peaceful feeling. Let your breathing become so slow, so deep that it seems to stop entirely for moments at a time. Let your heart beat gentle to a quiet rhythm that matches the pulse of the earth itself. Sleep now, deep and dreamless, safe in the knowledge that whatever changes come, to you, to this land, to the world beyond, some part of you remains connected to all that was, all that is, all that will be. Rest now in that perfect stillness, that timeless space between breaths, between heartbeats, between worlds. Sleep, just sleep.